A fierce wind tore through the snow-laden forest as two travelers stumbled into a frozen clearing. Before them stood a towering Acrocanthosaurus, its back spines dusted in white and its eyes locked on the strangers. In that instant, the world seemed to hold its breath. In the heart of a vast forest, Mara and Elias struggled against a wind so fierce that every breath felt like shards of ice. They had hoped to find shelter when the sky darkened and the storm began, but the snow fell faster and the cold bit deeper than they had ever known. Their maps had promised a safe route, but the shifting drifts had swallowed the trail and left them lost among ancient pines heavy with frost. Each step was a fight as their boots sunk into drifts that rose above their knees and their clothes became heavy with ice. The forest around them was silent and white, except for the shriek of wind through the branches. They huddled together, searching for any sign of life or warmth, or a clear path forward. The sun was a pale ghost behind the clouds, and its weak light failed to penetrate the curtain of falling snow. Mara's teeth chattered, and Elias wrapped his arms around her to share heat. They spoke little for fear of losing warmth of their breath. Hope felt distant as the memories of summer, yet they pressed on, driven by the promise of refuge at the end of their journey. Their footprints vanished as soon as they were made, and the world around them offered no mercy. Suddenly the trees thinned, and a broad meadow appeared before them. The snow here lay untouched, as if no creature had passed in days. In the center of that meadow, they spotted a shape carved in ice. Two massive footprints marked the ground and vanished toward a ridge of frosted pines. Mara and Elias froze with awe and fear, for they realized they had stumbled onto a boundary between worlds one that would reveal a guardian of stone and snow. Mara and Elias stepped into a silent clearing. Snow lay thick upon the ground. The trees gave way to a wide open space. The air felt colder here. The sky was a sheet of grey ice. Their boots sank deep into the snow. Each breath felt heavy in the chest. Footprints appeared in the snow. They were huge and fresh. The prints went toward the trees. Mara knelt to touch one print. She felt the cold beneath her fingers. The shape was like a giant claw. Elias stood beside her in awe. They looked at each other in shock. A distant roar rolled across the clearing. The sound shook their bodies. It was a call from a massive beast. The noise echoed among the frosted trunks. Their hearts pounded with fear. They rose slowly to their feet. Their eyes searched the ridgeline ahead. Three shapes emerged from the edge. The first shape was small and alone. The second shape was twice its size. The third shape was slightly larger still. All three forms moved with purpose. Their silhouettes stood out starkly against the snow. They advanced without making a sound. The world seemed to hold its breath. Mara clutched Elias by the arm. No words passed between them. They watched as the shapes drew near. The middle creature held its head high. Its spines stuck out like blades of ice. Steam puffed from its nostrils with each exhale. Snow rattled from its back like rain. The two larger beasts circled behind it. They moved with slow precision. Each step left deep impressions. The leader placed itself between the humans and the others. Its golden eyes locked onto their figures. The gaze held power over their minds. They felt both terror and wonder. Elias swallowed hard as the creature stared. His voice felt gone from his throat. Mara fought to calm her racing heart. The beast gave a low rumble with each breath. The sound sounded like distant thunder. Its tail flicked through the drifts. They realized this creature was not alone. It stood as a shield for its companions. The adult pair watched with sharp focus. The leader shaped its stance to protect the watchers. The humans were caught in a primal standoff. The clearing felt like 1,000 miles from home. Everything about this moment felt unreal. The forest pulsed with ancient memory. The snow seemed to glow in the half-light. Time slowed beneath the watchful gaze of the dinosaur. Footprints and claw marks told of a journey. The creature had crossed this land before. The humans felt small in its presence. The air carried the scent of pine and frost. Each ragged breath they took hissed in their lungs. Did its own strength. The standoff lasted several pulses of heartbeats. Each moment felt larger than life. The snow fell like gentle sparks of glass. The clearing froze beneath the weight of nature. The humans stood still as statues. Finally, Elias dared to breathe. Mara raised her gaze to the leader. Their eyes met across the distance. In that instant, a bridge formed between species. Both parties took measure of the other. The forest seemed to exhale in response. They sensed a spark of connection in the frozen air. A silent pact formed without a single word. The creature offered no threat beyond watchful eyes. The humans felt a strange calm enter their minds. They stood united beneath the falling snow. The scene glowed with quiet wonder. For Mara and Elias, the world had shifted. They would carry this discovery forever in their souls. Mara and Elias stood frozen before the towering beasts. The great juvenile Acrocanthosaurus loomed between them and the adult pair. Their breaths formed misty clouds in the icy air. The forest around them held its silence, as if it dared not interrupt the moment. The juvenile stretched its neck high and let out a low roar that rolled across the clearing like distant thunder. The two adults answered with deep bellows that shook the snow from the trees. Their massive feet left prints thrumming with power. The young guardian planted itself firmly to shield its elders and the humans beneath the pale sky. Elias dared not move his feet, but his heart pounded like a drum. Mara pressed her back against a frosted pine trunk for support. Neither of them could tear their eyes away from the beast's glowing gaze. The spines along the dinosaurs' backs rose like icy blades catching the dim light. Steam curled from their nostrils with each steady breath. Time stretched as the four beings faced each other. The snow fell in gentle spirals, yet the tension felt alive and crackling. Elias swallowed twice before daring to lift a trembling hand. Mara watched as he whispered a single word carried away by the howling wind. The juvenile cocked its massive head in curiosity and stepped forward. It lowered its scales toward the small moving figure. The adult pair shifted their weight but did not advance. Their rumble softened into a murmur that vibrated beneath the human's boots. Mara reached behind her for a flask of water and set it on a flat rock. The beast paused to sniff the offering. Elias exhaled in relief when the creature dipped its claw to roll the flask toward its muzzle. It drank slowly and with surprising gentleness. The ice cracked in their hearts as trust bloomed in the clearing. The juvenile shook its head once and turned to face the ridge. It let out a soft call that the adults answered in kind. The ring of guardians parted like slipping shadows to form a path. Mara and Elias stepped forward onto the bare snow beneath their feet. They paused at the margin of the ring and turned to bow their heads in silent thanks. The juvenile lowered its massive skull in response, and the adults rumbled a deep approval. In that moment the standoff ended not with claws or teeth, but with an unspoken pact of respect. Mara and Elias walked through the snow, back toward the dark forest. Their footprints shone like ledgers of courage and grace. The clearing fell silent once more, yet it pulsed with the memory of ancient trust. The standoff had become a testament to the power of calm hearts and fearless spirits under a Jurassic winter sky. The wind battered the frost-covered branches like a vengeful spirit. Elias lifted his trembling hand high against the storm-driven night. His voice broke the frozen silence like a single bell in chaos. He spoke calm words of peace and safety into the swirling gloom. The juvenile Acrocanthosaurus halted its march and froze in place, its great head tilted as its massive eyes fixed on the humans. The angry howl of the storm faded beneath the power of his words. Snowflakes settled on the beast's rough scales and spines like snow dust. Elias lowered his arm and exchanged a silent glance with Mara. Hope flickered in their hearts like a single flame in darkness. Mara pressed her mittened hand to her chest to still her pulse. Then she reached behind her to draw forth a small flask. The metal container was dented and worn, but tightly sealed. Frost had glazed the surface in intricate white patterns. Overnight, Mara placed the flask on a fallen log in the clearing. She stepped back slowly to stand beside Elias in the snow. The storm's roar seemed distant all at once and muted. The great beast extended its long neck toward the offered gift. Its nostrils flared in slow inhalations, tasting water in the wind. Footprints of the 3 dinosaurs trailed from the... They sensed a bond that bridged millions of years in an instant. The snow underfoot felt warm with the promise of shelter ahead. Mara and Elias carried gratitude in their souls like precious gems. The beasts watched them go as silent keepers of this frozen realm. From this night onward, they would never forget where trust can lead. The storm had passed. Snow lay deep outside. Inside the cavern, steam rose from vents in the stone floor. Mara and Elias stepped onto dry ground. The heat seeped into their frozen skin. The 2 grown dinosaurs stood sentinel at the cave entrance. Their spines glowed in the dim light. The young guardian stayed close to Mara and Elias. They made a small fire from dry wood found near a warm spring. They sat by the glow and shared a simple meal of dried fruit and cold water, warmed by heated rocks. The dinosaurs watched in silence, their huge heads tilted in curiosity. The humans reached out to offer scraps. The beasts accepted the gift with gentle nuzzles. Trust had grown in the frozen clearing, now it sealed in the warmth of the cavern. The humans and dinosaurs had found refuge. The harsh winter raged outside, yet they were safe. Mara and Elias spoke of their journey. A bond had formed between 2 species. As the sky brightened above the mountaintops, the group prepared to leave. The adults nudged the young guardian forward. They led the way toward a narrow exit. The humans followed in the footprints they had made the night before. The path was hidden in deep drifts, yet safe to walk. When they reached the forest edge, the animals paused. The guardians gave low calls of farewell. Mara and Elias bowed their heads in thanks. The young Acrocanthosaurus tapped Elias's leg with a heavy claw. The touch felt like a promise that their lives were forever linked. Mara and Elias watched as the beasts melted into the white wood, their hearts filled with gratitude and awe. In a land of ice they had found an unlikely friendship. They would carry that memory home and beyond forever. As the storm raged outside, walls of ice and rock held strong around them. In that prehistoric refuge, 2 worlds met in a silent pact of survival. Under the watchful eyes of the Acrocanthosaurus, Mara and Elias learned that even in the most brutal winter, the courage to show kindness can tame the fiercest guardian.